Here's a question that'll make your head explode. Why is it that when you tell a woman the honest truth, she loses her mind? Not the sugar-coated, feelings-protecting, walking on eggshells version. The actual truth. You know what happens? Nuclear meltdown. Tears, screaming, "You don't love me anymore." But when you lie, when you tell her what she wants to hear, suddenly you're the perfect boyfriend. Let me explain what's really happening here, because once you understand this game, you'll never fall for it again. Women don't actually want the truth. They want you to participate in their delusions. And if you refuse, if you dare to inject reality into their fantasy world, that's when they go crazy. Not because you hurt their feelings, because you refuse to submit. You refuse to sacrifice your integrity on the altar of her emotions. And that, my friend, is the unforgivable sin in modern relationships. Let me give you a classic example. Do these jeans make me look fat? Every man knows this question. It's not a question, it's a test. She already knows the answer. She looked in the mirror for 30 minutes before asking you. She's not seeking information, she's seeking submission. Will you tell the truth and face the consequences? Or will you lie and prove that her feelings matter more than reality? Here's what's really twisted. If those jeans do make her look fat, and you say no, she knows you're lying. She knows. But that's not the point. The point is that you lied for her. You betrayed your own perception of reality to protect her feelings. That's the real validation. Not that she looks good, but that you'll compromise your integrity for her comfort. I had a client last month, successful entrepreneur, sharp guy. His wife asks him, "Am I as pretty as when we met?" They've been married 15 years. She's gained 40 pounds and stopped taking care of herself. He tries to be diplomatic. "You're beautiful to me, honey. Not good enough," she pushes. "But am I as pretty?" He makes the mistake of being honest. "You're attractive in different ways now." Nuclear fucking meltdown. 3 days of silent treatment, tears to her friends about how he doesn't find her attractive anymore, threats of divorce, all because he dared to acknowledge objective reality. Meanwhile, she hasn't been to the gym in 5 years and lives on wine and Netflix. But somehow, he's the bad guy for not maintaining her delusion that time and neglect have no consequences. You know what this really is? It's emotional terrorism. Tell me I'm pretty or I'll make your life hell. Agree with my delusion or face punishment. It's not insecurity, it's manipulation. And before the women in the comments start screeching, yes, men have insecurities too. The difference? When a man asks if he's getting out of shape, he wants the truth so he can fix it. When a woman asks, she wants you to fix her feelings about it. This goes way deeper than just appearance. Women will test you with impossible questions designed to trap you. If I died, would you remarry? Say yes, you don't love her enough. Say no, you're lying. Do you think my friend Sarah is pretty? Say yes, you want to fuck Sarah. Say no, you're lying and you still want to fuck Sarah. These aren't real questions, they're emotional landmines. And here's the sick part. They get off on watching you squirm, watching you try to navigate the minefield, seeing how far you'll go to avoid triggering their emotions. It's power. Pure, simple psychological power. The ability to make a grown man afraid of words, afraid of truth, afraid of his own thoughts. I counselled a guy whose girlfriend would ask him about his exes constantly. Was she prettier than me? Was she better in bed? Did you love her more? No matter what he said, wrong answer. If he said no, she'd accuse him of lying. If he said yes to anything, even partially, she'd have a breakdown. He eventually realised the only winning move was not to play, but by then she'd already trained him to lie reflexively. You want to know why women do this? Because they've been raised to believe their feelings are more important than facts, that their emotional experience of reality supersedes actual reality. Society tells them, you're perfect just the way you are. Meanwhile, they're looking in the mirror knowing damn well they're not. So what do? They demand you resolve this cognitive dissonance for them. Tell me I'm beautiful really means, help me avoid facing the fact that I've let myself go. Tell me you love me really means, help me avoid facing my own unlovable behaviour. Tell me I'm not crazy really means, validate my irrational actions so I don't have to change. And modern society backs them up. Happy wife, happy life. The woman is always right. If mama ain't happy, nobody's happy. We've literally built a culture that says men should sacrifice truth for female emotional comfort. That lying to women is not just acceptable, but required for relationship success. But here's what nobody tells you. Every time you lie to protect her feelings, you lose a piece of yourself. Every time you say she looks great when she doesn't, that her cooking is good when it's terrible, that her batshit crazy friend seems nice, you're eroding your own integrity. You're training yourself to be a liar, and she's training you to be her emotional slave. The philosopher Ayn Rand wrote about this concept, the corruption of values as an act of love. In her work, there's this idea that making someone betray their principles for you is the ultimate proof of devotion. That's exactly what's happening here. Women don't want you to think they're beautiful. They want you to say they're beautiful even when you don't think it, because that proves they have power over truth itself in your mind. I see this constantly in my practice. Men who've been so mind-fucked by years of these emotional tests that they don't even know what they actually think anymore. Ask them their honest opinion about something, and they literally can't access it. They immediately start calculating what answer will cause the least emotional terrorism. They've been programmed to prioritize female feelings over their own perception of reality. Here's a perfect example. Client of mine, his wife starts a small business selling essential oils or some MLM bullshit. She's hemorrhaging money, $5,000 in debt after 6 months. She asks him, "Do you think my business will succeed?" Now this man has an MBA, he knows a failing business when he sees one, but what does he say? "Of course, honey, you're doing great." 6 months later, 10,000 in debt. Should I keep going? Absolutely, babe, success takes time. A year later, 20,000 in debt, she finally quits and blames him. "Why didn't you tell me it was a bad idea?" "Because you trained him not to tell you the truth, that's why. You punished honesty and rewarded lies, and now you're shocked that he lies to you." This is the insanity of female communication. They say they want honesty, but they punish it viciously. They say they want communication, but only if you communicate what they want to hear. They say they want emotional intimacy, but they use your emotional honesty as ammunition in future fights. "You said you didn't like my mother." Yeah, 6 months ago when you asked for my honest opinion. Now it's a weapon. You admitted you find other women attractive. Because you demanded absolute honesty, now it's evidence of inevitable cheating. Every truth you tell becomes a future bullet in her emotional gun. And let's talk about this "women are better communicators" myth. Really? Better at what? Because what I see is emotional manipulation disguised as communication. Instead of saying, "I need reassurance," they ask trap questions. Instead of saying, "I'm feeling insecure," they create drama. Instead of stating their needs directly, they expect you to be a mind reader. A man says, "I'm hungry, let's get food." A woman says, "I don't know, what do you want?" "No, not that." "No, not that either." "Ugh, why can't you just pick something?" "Fine, whatever, I'm not even hungry anymore." That's not superior communication. That's emotional chaos. It's expecting your partner to decode your feelings, anticipate your reactions, and navigate your emotional minefield while you provide zero actual information about what you want. You know what's really fucked up? Women will literally ask you to lie to them. "Tell me everything's going to be okay." Well, what if it's not? What if you're both unemployed, about to lose the house, and she's demanding reassurance instead of facing reality? But if you tell her the truth, "No, things are not okay, we need to take action," you're negative and unsupportive. I had this conversation with a female therapist colleague. She's telling me how women need emotional validation, not solutions. I said, "So if a woman's house is on fire, I should validate her feelings about the smoke instead of grabbing a fire extinguisher." She actually said yes, validate first, then solve. That's the level of insanity we're dealing with. Here's the pattern I see over and over. Woman creates problem through bad decisions. Woman demands man lie. About problem not being her fault. Man tells truth about problem. Woman melts down about man not being supportive. Man learns to lie. Woman later complains that man doesn't communicate honestly. It's a fucking circus. And they wonder why men shut down emotionally. Why men become emotionally unavailable. Because every emotion you express, every truth you tell, becomes ammunition. You tell her you're stressed about work. Next fight. You care more about your job than me. You admit you're worried about money. You're supposed to be the strong one. You share your fears. I need a real man who has his shit together. The truth is, most women can't handle male honesty. They say they want to know what we're thinking, but they really don't. You think your wife wants to know that you fantasize about her sister? That you regret getting married so young? That you sometimes dream about disappearing and starting over? No, she wants the Disney version of your thoughts, the edited, sanitized, female-approved version. So men learn to lie. Not big lies, usually, just constant small lies. Yes, your cooking is great. No, I wasn't looking at her. Of course I was listening. Your mother is lovely. I love spending Sundays shopping. Death by 1,000 dishonest cuts. Until one day you realize you haven't told your wife a complete truth in years. And here's the kicker. Women know we're lying. They have to know. Nobody's that oblivious. But they prefer the lie to the truth. They prefer a man who will sacrifice his integrity for their comfort over a man who respects them enough to be honest. They'd rather have a lying lapdog than an honest wolf. This creates a special kind of relationship hell. She demands honesty but punishes it. She asks questions but doesn't want answers. She creates tests with no right response. And then she wonders why there's no communication in the relationship. There's no communication because you've made communication impossible. You've turned every conversation into an emotional minefield, where truth is punished and lies are mandatory. I'll tell you something that'll piss off every woman reading this. Men's supposed emotional unavailability is a rational response to female emotional terrorism. We're not born this way, we're trained this way. By mothers who punished honesty, girlfriends who weaponized vulnerability, and wives who demand lies disguised as support. You want to know why your man doesn't share his feelings? Because the last time he did, you used them against him. The last time he was honest about his fears, you lost respect for him. The last time he told you an uncomfortable truth, you punished him for days. He's not emotionally unavailable, he's emotionally strategic. He's learned that silence is safer than truth in your emotional dictatorship. Let me give you a real-world example. Guy comes to me, his wife's been gaining weight for years, he's losing attraction. She asks him why they don't have sex anymore. He tries being gentle. I'm just stressed. Not good enough. She pushes and pushes. Finally he cracks, tells her the truth, the weight is affecting his attraction. What happens? Does she thank him for his honesty? Does she hit the gym? Number. She tells everyone he's a shallow arsehole, her family, her friends, social media. My husband says I'm too fat for him, conveniently leaving out that she demanded the truth, that she pushed for it, that she rejected his attempts at kindness. Now he's the villain for answering honestly the question she insisted on asking. This is why men learn to just say nothing when women ask what we're thinking, because nothing is safer than the truth. Nothing can't be used against us. Nothing doesn't start 3-day fights. Nothing doesn't end up screenshot and sent to your sister's group chat. The really sick part? Women complain about men who lie, but they actively select for liars. The smooth-talking player who tells her she's the most beautiful woman he's ever seen on the first date gets laid. The honest guy who says she seems nice and he'd like to get to know her better. No spark. They reward lies and punish truth from day one, then wonder why they end up with dishonest men. You know what the most common complaint I hear from married women is? He doesn't make me feel special anymore. Translation, he stopped lying to me. Because making her feel special usually means pretending she's more attractive than she is, more interesting than she is, more important than she is. It means maintaining her delusions rather than sharing reality. And God forbid you ever tell a woman she's being irrational, even when she's being completely, objectively, certifiably irrational. I'm not being irrational, she screams while throwing plates because you forgot to text her that you'd be 5 minutes late. The very suggestion that her emotions might not be perfectly calibrated to reality is treated as abuse. This is what I mean when I say women go crazy when you tell them the truth. They've built entire identities on delusions. I'm a great cook. No, everything you make comes from a box. I'm so busy, you work part-time and spend 4 hours on Instagram. I'm a good driver. You've had 3 accidents this year. But pointing out any of this? That's emotional violence, apparently. Here's something I've noticed. The women who scream the loudest about wanting honesty are usually the ones who can handle it the least. They say they want a real man who tells it like it is, but what they mean is a man who tells them what they want to hear, but does it with confidence. They don't want actual honesty. They want authoritative validation. I consulted with a couple where the wife complained that the husband never shared his true feelings. So we did an exercise, complete honesty for 1 session. Within 10 minutes she was in tears. He shared that he felt disrespected, that her constant criticism was wearing him down, that her refusal to work while spending freely was stressing him out. All true, all calmly stated, Her response: "This isn't the man I married. You've changed." "No, lady. He's the same man. He's just telling you the truth for once. The truth you claimed you wanted. But like most women, what you really wanted was for him to share feelings that make you feel good about yourself. You wanted him to be vulnerable about how much he needs you, not honest about how your behavior affects him. The manipulation goes even deeper. Women will use insecurity as a weapon to force compliance. I'm insecure about my body becomes, you must constantly compliment my body. I'm insecure about your female friends becomes, you must cut off your female friends. I'm insecure about being alone becomes, you must text me every hour. It's not insecurity, it's control disguised as vulnerability. And if you don't play along, if you suggest she work on her insecurity instead of making it your responsibility, you're unsupportive and lack empathy. The modern relationship model is basically, woman has feeling, man must fix feeling. If man doesn't fix feeling, man is bad. If man suggests woman fix own feeling, man is worse. This is why so many men just check out. They go through the motions. Yes, dear. You're right, dear. Whatever you want, dear. Not because they're weak, but because they've learned that engaging honestly leads to punishment. It's learned helplessness. They've been trained that truth equals pain, so they choose the path of least resistance, mindless agreement. You want to know the real tragedy? This dynamic destroys intimacy. Real intimacy requires truth. It requires being able to share your actual thoughts, feelings, and experiences without fear of emotional terrorism. But when every truth becomes a weapon, when every honest expression gets punished, intimacy becomes impossible. You end up with two strangers playing roles, lying to keep the peace. I see couples who haven't had an honest conversation in decades. The man lies to avoid conflict. The woman pretends to believe the lies to avoid facing reality. They're not partners, they're co-conspirators in a mutual delusion. And they wonder why they feel lonely in their marriage. You feel lonely because you're not actually connecting. You're performing a script where truth is the villain, the solution. It's simple, but not easy. Stop playing the game. When she asks a trap question, refuse to answer it. That's a trap question, and I'm not answering it. When she demands you validate her delusion, don't. I'm not going to lie to you. When she punishes you for honesty, don't apologize. I told you the truth. If you can't handle it, that's your problem. But here's the thing. Most men won't do this. Because they've been programmed from birth to protect female feelings at all costs. Mum cries, comfort her. Girlfriend's upset, fix it. Wife's angry, apologise. Even when they did nothing wrong, even when she's being completely irrational, the programming runs deep. And women know this. They know that most men are terrified of female emotional distress, so they weaponize it. Tears become a control mechanism. Anger becomes a manipulation tool. The silent treatment becomes psychological warfare. All because men have been trained that keeping women happy is their primary responsibility. Here's what I tell men. Your job is not to manage her emotions. Your job is not to maintain her delusions. Your job is not to sacrifice your integrity for her comfort. Your job is to be honest, set boundaries, and let her deal with her own feelings like an adult. If she can't handle that, she's not relationship material. But that requires something most modern men have been shamed out of having: backbone. The willingness to watch a woman have an emotional meltdown and not cave. The strength to maintain your truth even when she's crying. The integrity to refuse to lie even when honesty costs you peace. Because here's the secret. Women don't actually respect men who cave to their emotional manipulation. They might get what they want in the moment, but they lose respect for you every time you sacrifice truth for their comfort. Deep down, they know they're being irrational. They know they're manipulating you, and every time you submit, they respect you less. I've seen it 1,000 times. Woman pushes and pushes for validation. Man finally caves, tells her what she wants to hear. Woman gets temporary emotional relief but loses long-term attraction. Because what she really wanted wasn't the lie. It was for you to make her feel better without lying. She wanted you to somehow make reality match her delusion. And when you can't do that impossible task, she resents you for it. This is the impossible position modern men are in. Tell the truth and face emotional terrorism. Lie and lose her respect. Try to be diplomatic and get accused of being evasive. Stay silent and get blamed for not communicating. There's no winning because the game is rigged. The only winning move is not to play. You want to know why relationships were more stable in the past? Because roles were clear and truth was valued. A man's word meant something. a woman's emotional manipulation was called hysteria, not expressing her needs. There were consequences for irrational behaviour. Now, we've normalised female emotional terrorism and pathologized male honesty. The modern dating market is full of women who've been told their feelings are facts, their delusions are valid, and their manipulation is empowerment. Then they wonder why they can't find a real man. Real men exist. They're just not interested in playing your emotional games. They're not interested in relationships where truth is punished and lies are mandatory. So what's the answer? For men, it's simple. Stop lying. Stop validating delusions. Stop participating in the charade. Be honest, be direct, and let the chips fall where they may. Yes, she'll go crazy. Yes, she'll punish you. Yes, she might leave. But living in truth is better than dying in lies. For women reading this who are screeching about misogyny, try an experiment. For 1 week, don't ask any trap questions, don't demand validation, don't punish honesty. When your man tells you something you don't want to hear, say, "Thank you for being honest," and actually mean it. See what happens. You might be shocked at how much your man opens up when he's not afraid of emotional terrorism, but most won't do this, because it's easier to demand comfortable lies than face uncomfortable truths. It's easier to blame men for being emotionally unavailable than admit you've made emotional availability dangerous. It's easier to stay in your delusions than do the hard work of growth. Drop a comment below about the most insane trap question you've ever been asked. What's the most ridiculous thing you've been expected to lie about? When did you realise that telling the truth was actually the wrong answer? Share your stories, because men need to know they're not alone in this insanity. And maybe, just maybe, some women will read these comments and realise what they're doing to the men who love them.